vision and pay me. It's never this way. We indigenous, maybe we winning this crazy. Opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity. This your opportunity, your opportunity.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us on EDI on the Street. We're here to bring you real-world EDI wisdom, helping you navigate all things electronic data interchange and supply chain.
Yeah, that's what we do here.
I'm your host. Been in the EDI trenches for, over 15 years now, more on the tactical side. And with me is my colleague, the strategic thinker, who's been wrestling with enterprise integration for, over 25 years?
That's right. Seen a fair bit. And yeah, we both work at GraceBlood, so we live and breathe this stuff daily.
We do indeed. And today we're really excited to dig into a topic that, well, it might sound a bit old school maybe, but it's absolutely vital for modern businesses.
That's right. Today we're talking about integrating EDI with, let's call them legacy enterprise resource planning, or ERP systems.
Right. So if your ERP system feels like it's been around since, I don't know, before the Y2K scare even.
Yeah, maybe even before the internet was really a big thing in every house. If that sounds familiar, then this conversation is definitely for you.
We're going to explore how these, trusty older systems, despite their age, can still be modernized. They can become real powerhouses for your supply chain through smart EDI integration.
Exactly. It's not always about ripping everything out.
Okay, so let's unpack this. When we say legacy ERP, what exactly are we talking about here? These aren't the shiny new cloud platforms we hear about all the time, are they?
Definitely not. No, typically we're talking about solutions that were often developed in-house, maybe built up over decades. They're deeply embedded into the very fabric of how a company operates day to day.
Right, like part of the furniture.
Pretty much. They're usually highly customized, can be quite rigid in structure, and typically lack those modern application programming interfaces, APIs, or sometimes even clear documentation.
Okay.
You might find them built using older programming languages, things like COBOL, maybe Delphi, or Progress. These systems often live right there on a company's own servers, not out in the cloud somewhere.
So they're maybe not glamorous, but they sound incredibly valuable. I've heard them called the bedrock of a business, especially for manufacturers, distributors, logistics companies.
That's exactly right. They are often mission critical, they tend to be reliable, and crucially, they're often tailor-fit to very specific business logic that's evolved over years.
But doesn't that customization, the very thing that makes them valuable, also make them incredibly difficult to integrate with newer stuff?
Yeah.
It feels like a bit of a paradox.
It absolutely is. That's the core challenge. They're invaluable because they've been customized over time to perfectly match unique workflows. But that exact strength, that deep customization, becomes their biggest integration hurdle. And you're right, companies aren't just, ditching these systems overnight. The cost and the risk of replacing them are often prohibitive.
Huge disruption.
Massive. Not to mention the fact that for those core operations, they often just work. Think of it like the infrastructure of an old city. Maybe it's not flashy, but everything depends on it. Or that vintage car in the garage, meticulously maintained, still runs great, even if it doesn't have a touchscreen.
That's a great analogy. Okay, that makes perfect sense. So if these systems are so ingrained, so valuable, and so hard to replace, why bother trying to connect something modern like EDI with them? What's the real push? Why is EDI integration so critical, even with a system that feels like it's from another era?
Well, that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? The truth is, the benefits of EDI are pretty much non-negotiable in today's supply chain. It's still the gold standard for automated, standardized communication between trading partners. We're talking about eliminating manual data entry, which is huge, dramatically reducing errors that come from that, and significantly improving transaction speed. In a landscape where supply chain agility can literally make or break your competitiveness, EDI isn't just a nice to have anymore. It's really a necessity.
And for businesses specifically running on those legacy ERPs, integrating EDI must unlock some massive efficiency gains, right? I mean, just imagine the sheer amount of manual rekeying, purchase orders, invoices, moving data between systems by hand.
Oh, it's staggering sometimes.
Eliminating that directly translates to reduced labor costs and, crucially, far fewer errors. For a busy warehouse or accounts payable team, that's a total game changer. Plus, you've got the compliance aspect, making sure you meet trading partner mandates, right? They often require specific EDI standards, X12 here in North America, or EDIFACT internationally.
Precisely. And beyond just the efficiency gains, it speeds up the whole transaction process. That means faster order fulfillment, much better inventory accuracy because the data is timely. And critically, it provides much needed visibility. You get audit trails for all those supply chain events, financial transactions. I mean, I've personally seen setups, and this isn't an exaggeration, where teams were literally printing out invoices from one system just to manually type them into another.
Wow.
Or, using really clunky workarounds with FTP drop folders and hoping nothing gets missed. That's just not sustainable, and it's definitely a compliance headache waiting to happen.
Yeah, sounds risky.
The benefits are really clear, but the how, that's where
Yeah.
the challenge often lies. How do you actually make that connection?
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting, I think. If the benefits are so obvious, what are the biggest hurdles? What makes integrating EDI with a legacy ERP so uniquely challenging? I'm guessing it's not as simple as, like, downloading an app from a marketplace.
No, definitely not plug and play.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It's far more complex. One of the primary issues is just the sheer lack of standard interfaces. Unlike modern ERPs that often come with ready-made REST APIs, think of those as like standardized data connectors, like USB ports for software, or maybe webhooks for easy interaction. Legacy systems often just don't offer those.
So how do you get data in and out?
Well, sometimes data might only be accessible via flat files, just simple text files, or maybe proprietary database structures that are hard to understand, or even old-school terminal-based screens where you're effectively screen scraping or mimicking someone typing commands.
Wow. It's like trying to connect a brand new 4K TV to, I don't know, a VCR from the 80s. You just don't have the right ports.
That's a pretty good analogy, actually. And then there's the documentation issue, or rather, the notorious lack of documentation.
Ah, yes, the missing manual.
Exactly. Many homegrown systems kind of evolved organically over decades, often with very little, if any, clear documentation written down. Critical knowledge about how things really work often just resides in the heads of maybe one or two key long-serving IT folks.
Which makes designing a reliable integration feel like solving a mystery novel sometimes.
It can feel like that, yeah. And it gets even more complex when you factor in all that custom business logic we talked about. These legacy ERPs are often highly customized for very specific, unique business processes. Their workflows are fine-tuned for unique departments or product lines or specific customer needs. These customizations can create really complex edge cases, little quirks in the data flow, or processing rules that any new EDI system absolutely must account for. If you miss one, the whole integration can break down. You can't just assume standard rules apply.
And then there's the human element, right? Change a version.
Definitely. Organizations running these systems, especially if they're mission critical and stable, are often understandably risk averse. IT departments might be reluctant to change existing processes for fear of disrupting something that fundamentally just works for core operations. Which leads us to a really crucial best practice for any project like this. You have to do a thorough capability audit first.
Okay, what does that involve?
Before you even start planning the integration details, you need to know, really know, what your ERP can actually do. Can it export data in a structured way, even if it's just a simple file? Can it receive structured files somehow? Can it be queried for information, maybe through something like an ODBC connection, which is a standard way to talk to databases?
Gotcha. Know your limits.
Exactly. Understanding your system's limits and capabilities is paramount before you build anything.
So this really sounds like you almost need to become an expert in the legacy system itself, or at least have someone on the team with a deep, deep understanding of its inner workings. Is it really about getting inside the ERP's, brain?
It absolutely is. I mean, here's the hard truth, really. EDI integration with a custom or legacy ERP requires intimate inside knowledge of that specific ERP's brain.
Right.
It's not just about knowing EDI standards like X12 or EDIFACT.
Right.
It's about truly understanding your system's unique language, its habits, its quirks.
And that includes really getting your head around its data models, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Like, how are customers, orders, inventory, invoices, how are they actually structured in that specific database? It's not just knowing what data exists, but how it's organized and how different bits relate to each other inside that system.
Precisely. You nailed it. And then mapping the workflows. What triggers what in the system? Which batch jobs, update inventory levels, and critically, when do they run? How does the invoicing process actually get finalized?
Yeah, timing could be crucial.
It is. These are all vital details for knowing when and how to safely extract data or insert data without, disrupting existing processes or causing data corruption.
Oh.
You also need to identify any existing integration points, however basic they might be. Are there already batch export or import processes in place? Are there specific file drop locations, maybe FTP sites being used, or perhaps even just manual steps that are ripe for automation?
And that knowledge,
Yeah.
it usually lives inside the organization, right, with those
Yeah.
longtime IT veterans or the ERP administrators?
Typically, yes. They hold the keys to the kingdom, so to speak.
So it sounds absolutely critical to bring those internal stakeholders, your IT folks, your ERP admins, into the project right from the start and keep them involved.
Oh, absolutely. Early and often. They're critical for defining the actual specifications, for helping troubleshoot those tricky edge cases that inevitably pop up,
Oh, yeah.
and for validating the test transactions to make absolutely sure everything works exactly as intended before you go live. Their knowledge is just invaluable.
Makes sense.
And here's maybe a subtle point, but an important one. Don't just assume your internal IT team knows all the answers, or even that their current methods are fully optimized for something like EDI integration.
How so?
Well, they might be primarily focused on just maintaining the system day to day, keeping the lights on, rather than actively looking for ways to enhance it or integrate it better with external trading partners. That's often where a specialized EDI partner, someone who does this all the time, truly adds value. They work hand in hand with your internal experts, asking the right questions, digging deeper, and really getting to grips with the nuances of your unique setup.
Right, bridging that gap. So if these projects are so complex, so specialized, who is actually equipped to handle them? We know, many standard cloud EDI providers, they kind of shy away from homegrown or really old legacy ERPs precisely because of this complexity.
That's true. Many do prefer standardized environments.
But some partners, like us at GraceBlood, we actually embrace these complex, sometimes messy implementations. It doesn't matter if your system was built in the 80s or coded in-house a decade ago. A dedicated partner approaches every integration with, curiosity, adaptability, and real technical rigor.
That's really our core strength, and frankly, it's why a lot of clients come to us. We understand that cookie-cutter solutions just don't cut it in these scenarios. Our approach is designed specifically to navigate these intricacies.
Okay, tell us about that. How does it work?
Well, it always begins with really deep discovery and documentation. We work closely with your internal ERP experts to truly understand the current data flows, the exact file formats, any job schedules, and importantly, any constraints or limitations.
And if the documentation is missing,
Then a crucial part of the process is collaboratively creating it. You need that solid foundation, that shared understanding before you build.
okay, makes sense. What's next?
Then, once we understand the system, it's all about flexible or custom integration options. We don't force a square peg into a round hole. Whether your ERP can only handle flat files, secure database connections, or perhaps it requires some specialized middleware, the integration strategy has to be tailored.
So adapting to the ERP's capability.
Exactly. It could involve file-based EDI, ingesting or generating standard CSV or fixed width files, or maybe even direct secure database integration if possible. The key is adapting to your system, not forcing it into some predefined box.
Got it. And then the EDI part itself,
Yeah.
the mapping.
Right. Then comes the heart of EDI, the mapping and transformation. A capable partner handles all those EDI processes, including the really intricate mapping and translation between your ERP's unique internal data format and the industry standard EDI formats like X12 or Edifact.
And that mapping has to be robust, I imagine.
Absolutely. Good mapping tools and expertise need to handle non-standard fields your ERP might use, lookup tables for translating codes, complex conditional logic, making sure every single piece of data ends up exactly where it needs to be, error-free.
Okay, so discover, integrate flexibly, map carefully. What about testing?
Testing and validation are critical. You need rigorous end-to-end testing involving both your ERP system and your actual trading partners. This ensures that EDI documents flow correctly, all the business rules are met, and you achieve full compliance. Detailed test plans and partner-specific validation are crucial for a smooth go-live.
No surprises on day one.
That's the goal. And of course, once you are live, proactive monitoring and ongoing support are vital. You need alerting systems to quickly detect and help resolve any issues that might crop up, whether it's a sudden data formatting error or maybe a transmission delay.
Yeah, that ongoing support is key.
Exactly. It's this comprehensive end-to-end approach that really makes the difference in these complex projects.
That sounds incredibly thorough. Can you give us maybe a real-world example, a specific case where this kind of approach was applied to a legacy ERP and what happened?
Sure, absolutely. Think about a food distributor we worked with. They were running a progress-based ERP system, pretty common in some industries. But this one was developed way back in the early 1990s.
Wow, definitely legacy.
Oh, yeah. It managed all their core functions, sales, purchasing, inventory, invoicing, all mission-critical stuff. But it had absolutely zero native EDI capabilities built in. They were completely stuck in a manual world for communicating with partners.
My guess is they were just drowning in manual data entry, probably dealing with a mountain of errors.
Well, often that is the case, yes. And it was certainly contributing to their operational headaches and slowing things down. So we partnered closely with their internal IT team.
The experts on that progress system.
Exactly. We worked with them to identify existing flat file output options that were buried within their batch processes. Basically, the system could produce simple data files, even if it had no concept of what EDI was.
Okay, finding that hook.
Right. We then defined a clear, structured file format schema for the electronic documents they needed, like purchase orders and invoices, based specifically on what their ERP could reliably produce. Then the next step was building the necessary transformation maps, translating between those internal flat file formats and the standard EDI 850 for purchase orders and the 810 for invoices.
The core EDI work.
Yep. And finally, we set up secure FTP automation, essentially secure automated file transfers to reliably deliver those mapped EDI files to their trading partners, and just as importantly, to pick up and process the responses coming back.
Okay, so what was the result for them?
The result was pretty transformative. They gained full modern EDI capabilities. They significantly increased their operational efficiency. They reduced their order processing time by a really remarkable 60%.
60%? That's huge.
It was massive for them, and they virtually eliminated countless manual entry errors that had been plaguing them. And the key takeaway, they achieved all of this without the massive headache, cost, and risk of replacing their perfectly functional, albeit old, ERP system.
That is a true game changer, modernizing without that disruptive rip and replace.
Exactly. And what's really crucial to understand is that this whole concept, this approach, it extends beyond just a single legacy system.
Cool.
It's actually increasingly common for large enterprises these days to be running multiple ERP systems simultaneously across their business.
Oh, really? Why would that happen?
It often happens through mergers and acquisitions. You inherit different systems, or sometimes just departmental autonomy. Different divisions pick different solutions, or even specific regional requirements. So you might find a large company using a newer cloud ERP, like, say, Acumatica in one division, maybe Microsoft D365 in another, and then maybe a completely custom-built older ERP for a specialized manufacturing plant, all under one roof.
Wow, that sounds like an even greater integration challenge.
Yeah.
How does an EDI partner tackle that kind of complex multi-ERP environment?
Yeah, it definitely adds layers of complexity. In those multi-ERP landscapes, a robust EDI solution, often acting as a central hub, helps the enterprise normalize all their EDI transactions.
Normalize,
I mean,
meaning
it implements sophisticated cross-platform mapping and translation rules so that regardless of which ERP sent or needs to receive the data, the EDI looks consistent to the outside trading partner, and the data gets correctly formatted for each internal system.
Oh, okay, a central translator.
Kind of, yeah. You also centralize the EDI monitoring and management. This gives the IT leaders one single unified view of document status across the board, regardless of which back-end system actually produced or received a particular document.
That must simplify things enormously.
It does. And you integrate with all the multiple data formats, different schedules, varying business rules, ensuring each specific ERP gets exactly the data it needs in the precise format and timing it understands.
So whether you have 5 ERPs or 50.
Exactly. Whether it's 5 or 50, the goal is always seamless integration and unified data exchange across the entire enterprise, no matter how fragmented the underlying system landscape might seem. It's all about building those intelligent bridges between systems.
What's really fascinating here, the core idea that keeps coming up, is that you don't necessarily have to rip out your old system to modernize. That seems like such a revelation for so many businesses who might feel completely stuck with what they have.
It really does. It directly addresses that common misconception that to modernize your supply chain, you must replace your legacy ERP.
Yeah, that's the default assumption often.
But it's not always the case, or even the best path. With intelligent EDI integration, you can actually maintain that core system, the one that already supports your unique business requirements and has potentially years of valuable customization built into it.
All that accumulated knowledge and refinement.
Exactly. You maintain that while simultaneously extending its capabilities to meet the demands of a modern digital supply chain. It really is about augmenting, not just destroying, what already works effectively for your business.
So EDI truly acts as a bridge then, not just between businesses enabling that seamless communication with trading partners,
Right.
but also as a bridge between different generations of technology within the same company. It allows you to stay competitive without undergoing those incredibly disruptive, costly, and risky migrations.
And without sacrificing those invaluable customizations that make your ERP so effective for your unique operations in the first place. This really raises an important question, I think. What potential does this unlock for businesses that have maybe been told over and over that their systems are just too old or too custom for any kind of modern integration?
It gives them a viable path forward, doesn't it? A path they might not have thought existed. It lets them focus their innovation efforts and budget elsewhere, perhaps.
Precisely. It frees up resources and reduces risk.
Okay, so let's try and recap some of the EDI on the street wisdom for today. What are the key takeaways people should remember from this conversation?
Well, I think the first big one is just that legacy ERPs can absolutely support modern EDI automation. It just requires the right integration strategy.
Right, it's possible. Second, that internal ERP knowledge, knowing your own system inside and out, is absolutely critical for success. A good partner doesn't replace that knowledge. They work hand in hand with your in-house experts.
Yeah, that collaboration is key. Third, remember that no project is truly too complex for the right partner. You should look for providers who actually specialize in these non-standard, homegrown, maybe messy ERP systems, the ones that other providers might shy away from.
Good point. Find the specialists. Fourth, if you happen to have multiple ERPs across your enterprise, that's not necessarily a showstopper either. A comprehensive EDI solution can unify your EDI across all those diverse systems.
It brings order to the chaos, essentially.
And finally, maybe the most empowering takeaway. Integration doesn't automatically require replacement. EDI enables you to augment your existing system's capabilities, effectively future-proofing your operations without that painful rip-and-replace headache.
Absolutely. So if you've been told your ERP is too old, or maybe too custom, or just too complicated for EDI, maybe reconsider that. By intelligently leveraging the deep value that's often inherent in your existing systems, you can strategically evolve your supply chain capabilities without the massive upheaval and risk of a complete overhaul.
That's great advice. So if you're listening and you're ready to tackle your own ERP integration challenges, maybe start that conversation. The team here at GraceBlood, well, we're here to help. You can actually schedule a free consultation with us today and discover how you might be able to transform your legacy ERP into a modern supply chain powerhouse.
That's right. You can find more information or schedule that consultation just by visiting our website at graceblood.com. Or you can always call us directly at 877-867-8120. Or just email sales@graceblood.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to EDI on the Street. We really hope this discussion about legacy ERP integration has given you some valuable insights and maybe just shown you that modernizing your supply chain is actually well within reach, even with older systems.
Yeah, keep exploring the possibilities that lie within your existing systems. Sometimes the future of your supply chain isn't about building brand new, but about intelligently bridging that valuable past with innovative, practical solutions.
Couldn't have said it better myself. We'll be back soon with more real-world EDI wisdom.
Maybe it's never this way, we indigenous, maybe we winning this crazy. Your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, this your opportunity, your opportunity.